So, well, hello to the Mio room. So, well, now we are going to talk about OpenUpgrade, also what it is, why are we working on it, and why do we need it. This is just a small introduction to this tool, and why do we think that it is so important for the community, and why we are maintaining it actively right now. Okay, just some stuff about me. Well, I'm Enric. I've been doing Odoo since version 10. Right now, I'm actually a vice president of the OCA, and I've been doing managing for like 8 years or more a big instance of Odoo at Spain. We have done 4 migrations with OpenUpgrade, and we are planning to do much more. And also last year I founded my own company, and I've done other migrations, not only on this customer, but here it is. So what is OpenUpgrade? That's the first question. Well, if you check on GitHub, you will see something like it's a set of tools to upgrade Odoo instances from one major version to another. What does it mean? That it allows us to migrate, but in a more controlled way. Why? Because in Odoo, if we are using Odoo migration tools, we need to send the database to Odoo, and then they will migrate it in some kind of magic. And we will receive a migrated version, a migrated database, and nothing else. We don't know what happened here, what did they do, if there's some data that might be changed according to our needs, and so on, we don't know. So this way, it's much more controlled because it is done inside our instance. Also, and that's something that I would like to be sure it's understood properly, it's, in my opinion, the only thing that makes Odoo Community Edition a full open source project. Odoo is promoting that Odoo is an open source project. It is true that Odoo 16 or Odoo 17 is an open source project because they have an open source license. But Odoo as a whole product is not open source. Because you cannot go from Odoo 15 to Odoo 16 to Odoo 17 and next year to Odoo 18 because there is no migration path. So this tool is providing it because it is an open source option for migration. So why are we working on it? Well, first reason, it supplies community edition instances and upgrade path. For example, if some customer for some reason doesn't choose Enterprise Edition, without OpenUpgrade, they cannot migrate. The only option they can find is to extract all the data and try to upload that later on a newer version. It is an option, but you might lose data, you might have several issues, you don't know, maybe this field is no longer in the new version, and so on. So this gives you a full path for upgrade. Second, you don't need to send your database. And that's important, not for many companies, but there are companies that cannot send data. For example, I've worked on a hospital for 8 years. They cannot send their database. Yeah, I don't care if I don't know, obfuscate data because messages are there. And a small name might be there. And we cannot provide this information. It's a compliance problem, and we cannot allow that. So this allows us to do the migration inside. And it's more safe. Also, we are working on it because it's part of our commitment. You saw that we don't care if we are working on enterprise or community editions. But for community editions, they need this. Also, some enterprise editions might. So it is part of our spirit or commitment as OCA to invest on it. And it is really important to keep it going. So why do we need it? The first one, it's, as I said, control. Database is in your store infrastructure. We can see how the migration is going. And also, we can check the errors. If at some point an error is raised on the migration, we can go there, check what happened, and continue the migration from that point on. And this is really a useful tool, because otherwise you need to update all the database again. But you know, you maybe have 50 modules. The first 40 were OK, but you have a problem on the 41. You don't need to do all the job on the previous 40. You just need to start from the 41 and so on. And that's part of the magic of this tool that allows us to simplify our process. So for example, when I try to do a big migration with, I don't know, 500 modules or something like that, it is not a problem. I just start doing the migration, if just for check if everything will go OK on the day one, the AD. I just start, and if at some point I have an issue, I just check what happened. OK, Odoo has changed this field from this to this other field. I need to do a migration script here. I will add the migration script, and it will continue as expected. And that's something that it's really great for working on it. Also for knowledge, because if we know how migrations are done, and it is not a black box, we can, make our own migration scripts for our own modules, because we know that most of the customers needs specific modules. We know because at some point they ask strange things that might have sense but not inside OCA, or maybe, but you don't have the time, it comes from a previous partner, whatever, it doesn't matter. But at some point, you need a customized module. If you understand how migrations are done, you can make your own migrations when you need it. Also, it's one part of the big job on this tool is to make it fast. I've seen, and that's a real case, on the migration from 13 to 14 on one customer. When we started the migration, the first day we tried the migration and it finished from the beginning to the end, it took 14 hours. And we couldn't have so much time this database blocked. We end with 2 hours in 1 week. We just needed to improve some small stuff, check small things that can be improved, and it's really easy to do it. You just need to know how to do it, and then we have a fast migration for a big database. And we also need it because, we have an amazing team behind it. This team has been working on OpenUpgrade for more than 10 years. These people have seen major changes in Odoo and have done the scripts properly. Once, for example, on 10 to 11, when all the stock changed, on the 12 to 13, when all the accounting changed, we can find several examples of big changes that were properly managed by this team. I'm pretty confident that this migration is efficient and it's really awesome. I don't know how Odoo do their own migration. I assume that they are doing a similar job that we are doing. But our team has been doing it for a long time, and that's something I think it's important to know, and it's something that affects everything, because at the end it gives us a better product. So here's a small example of the contributors. You can find them on the GitHub page. There are examples like Pedro, Sylvain, Miquel, Pilar, I don't know the name, Victor, so Stefan Reinhardt too. So there's a lot of people that has been contributing there. I would be also, for example, here, but not so many contributions like other people. I've done my small things, but not as good as some of them. But it's not just two guys random in Alaska doing this job. There are several people here working on it. So what about the future? Well, as we discussed on the General Assembly, OCA board understand that this tool is really needed for everyone. So some time ago, we invest on our migration. So for example, OCA gave some budget to some teams to make the migration. At some point, we lost that for several reasons. But, well, last year we promoted a new documentation for OpenUpgrade that was done by Sylvain, just to improve the readmes on how to do migrations. Because one of the biggest problems of OpenUpgrade is that you need to know a lot about Odoo to do migrations. And that's the main problem. It is not just having a contributor and you can be an OpenUpgrade contributor. It's not like this. You need to know how it works, you need to understand accounting, and then you can start knowing how migration is done. And then you can try to do some migrations. It has much more a harder path than a regular contributor. But promoting the documentation is a first step to make it easier. Also, this year, as you saw, we have decided to assign some budget to it also for doing the 17 migration scripts and starting the 18. Because at the end, that's what we want. And our dream would be to get the scripts 3 months after the new release. That is probably a dream. It will not be achieved in 1 year or 2 years, but that's probably what we aim to achieve. We need to think that this is feasible and work for this. Otherwise, we will have the migration scripts 1 year after the new release is done, and it will have no sense. We need to be fast, and we need to be reliable. We are reliable right now. We need to be fast only. So how do we have it? Well, we need more members, more money, more budget. It's easy. We need more contributors because they do the work. And we need more reviews and reviewers in order to ensure the quality that we already have. But we need to keep it high. This is not like a regular OCA module that maybe a small test, or we don't need maybe a test for this stuff. No, this is a migration. This needs to be done properly and perfectly. That's why we need to ensure quality as much as possible. And also, we need to train new contributors. That's something that will make everything much more maintainable at the end. Because 40 people is a lot of people, but we need to increase with regular contributors that works and understands how OCA and OpenUpgrade works. Thank you. I have not digged on the how to do it because we will do it later with another talk. So that was not the aim of this talk. I just wanted to show how it's working. I don't know if any of you have any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. I have two questions, actually. The first one is, what are the limits with, so we know that Odoo have their own migration system, and is it not a danger that we infringe their customer compliance or something with OpenUpgrade? Is there a danger of that we can say to our customers that use OpenUpgrade instead, and will it be a problem for Odoo in the long term? This is my first question. And the second one is, are there any tutorial video, because this is, you said that it is a process, a complicated process that we need to do it properly. And I was wondering if there was a plan to make maybe tutorial videos on YouTube, for example, in the OCA channel, so that it's easier for new contributors to have a reference, so that they can participate in it more easily. Thank you.
Okay, I will repeat your questions. The first one would be to be if it's an issue with Odoo, if we have enterprise. And the second one is if there are any videos about how to do it, examples, and so on. Okay, for the first one, I don't have any enterprise customers working with OpenUpgrade, mainly because I don't have enterprise customers. So maybe some other people on this room can answer you. From what I've heard, it is not an issue. The problem is that OpenUpgrade is not providing migration scripts for the enterprise modules. And that's a problem if you have enterprise. But we haven't done it because we don't, usually when people is paying enterprise, they don't have a problem asking enterprise and giving enterprise their database. But actually, it would be feasible to do it because Odoo made a big change on 15, I think, or 14, splitting the scripts from the code. So we don't need the enterprise code to do the migration scripts for that. So theoretically, it's feasible and shouldn't be a problem, because why do they have a problem if we do migrate? But I don't know if any one of you have done this. Simone? So with OpenUpgrade?
Yeah.
Is
I think you should mention that there's also the OpenUpgrade lead. There's a piece of that tool you can use to do your own stuff.
so, as Simone said, there's another tool that it's the library that allows you to do some of the stuff, so you can do the migration of your own modules. But you see, also about the videos, every year our talks about OpenUpgrade and how to do things. You should check if any of these videos fill your needs. Also today, Mikel, I don't know where it is right now, there at the end, will do a talk now about how to do the migration yourself. So you will see it and it will be recorded. Ivan, sorry.
Yes, so I have the following question. So you mentioned that we have actually 4 limiting factors. First is money, second is people, and then everything that follows, yes, here. So suppose, imagine you have enough money today. So what will be the next step that you will take to improve it?
In my opinion, if we had enough money, I will go to reviewers. Because I've seen people doing migrations. I mean, we would probably need to pay for specific modules like base, sale, accounting, you know, the basic stuff. Okay, but once we have done it, the most important thing is the review. And that's probably where we lack people. Because maybe Michael is doing an amazing script on accounting, but he needs Pedro or Sylvain or whatever to review it. And the review, it's really hard. Because you don't need to think, you don't have a room boat to go there and check. You don't have this stuff. You need to check the code and see if he's doing it properly, if it's efficient, and so on. And that's the hardest part, in my opinion. But that's my opinion.
My question is a bit technical. So I think the analytic part is very important in the step of migrating. That is knowing which fields change. Did you guys thought of having a script that would assist in doing so, like comparing, let's say, one model from one version to another one, and pulling out the differences?
So, as you said, the analysis is good, but if we have thought about tools to match these changes automatically, well, in my experience, the analytic tool is great, as you said, but there is not a one-on-one match. There is not a real logic there. You need some guy going there and check, okay, just before we had a field called ref, and now we have a field called reference. We need to match that. Or this view has been deleted, and now is this one. And that's a job to do by someone there, you know. But because that's hard.
I have a question as well. I think we all know and we all agree that the problem on successfully migrating transactional data is understanding the changes in the process that boil down to changes in the models, right? In the functions and the modules. I might be wrong on that, but are there any potential ways and attempts so far to collect the knowledge that appears when anybody does that migration from one version to another, and share that in the community? Because I have the feeling that most of the people, and this is a single most disadvantage of using OpenUpgrade, that everybody has to go through that cumbersome process of understanding what is changed on process level and how it boils down to module level on his or her own, without us having tools or methods to share that knowledge among the people contributing to using OpenUpgrade.
Well, actually, in OpenUpgrade, there are a file for each module setting all the changes. And usually, the developer that's doing the migration script is saying, this field has been changed to that one, or something like that, because that's the main issue. The changes on the functions is not an issue for OpenUpgrade, because you know, they are just trying to translate data from one version to another, not checking how the functions have changed. That's something that might be interesting to do, just like a migration or you know, how to, or Wikipedia or whatever, but it's not inside OpenUpgrade, because OpenUpgrade is changing one picture to another picture. It doesn't care on how this data is moved later on or before. It just, you know, you translate. And how do you manage it? It's problem of Odoo. And OpenUpgrade, it's probably not the tool. But it's really needed. It's true, because, you know, maybe action post has changed and we don't know how and what has changed and whatever. But that's something that we need to go there and review it on the code of Odoo, not on OpenUpgrade. Or we just create another option.
I'm not sure whether you got my point correctly. What I think is that we lack some exchange on what changes on the business process level made invoked this change on the functional or the data level in the models. And as soon as somebody figures out what the reasoning behind that change has been, then this knowledge is not properly, at least that's my feeling, it's not properly shared among the community.
I understood your issue.
Okay.
I understood it, but I mean, that's not a, I mean, this.
But that's not true. It's shared. Please open the OpenUpgrade analysis Word file on any module, and you will see the reasoning behind each of the decisions taken in OpenUpgrade, and you have an auto documentation of the features that provoke that database scheme change. I think it's important to say, maybe, Enric, do you have any other microphone?
No, that's, yes, you can have it.
Yeah, I don't want to hijack your talk, but I think there is several important things to say about the philosophy on OpenUpgrade. One of the paradigms of OpenUpgrade is to preserve at maximum data. On that, for achieving that goal, what we do is to not delete any data that cannot be deleted. This is important, and it's something that that on enterprise migration is not kept. When you receive the database, all information is erased. So that's an important one. Another thing is to preserve at maximum the behavior you had on the previous version. So maybe there is a new feature that allows another thing, but the configuration or the data that makes the system to work as it was in the previous version is the option chosen to migrate. So some of the changes in OpenUpgrade is to preserve this behavior. Sometimes it's not possible, and this is explained on these files. Not sure if you can open one of them. Okay, yes, please go to scripts. Exactly. Go, for example, for the account one, that is usual with lots of changes. You have to take also into account that OpenUpgrade is an opinionated migration tool. What that means, that there is sometimes some choices to choose between them, and we need to choose only one. So that one is the rationale is put there, and no, maybe no upper. Go upper. No, the Word file, not the normal one, that one. We have an automated tool that analyzes the database schemes and dump everything on a file called upgradeanalysis.txt. We create a copy, organize and sort these changes into logical blocks, and put a comment on each of these logical blocks saying, hey, this is nothing to do because of this. It's a new shiny feature, and we don't need to do nothing apart from using it. Or it's a new feature but that overlaps with something that it was before. So we make any kind of decision, and it's put there. You can see. There is some of them that don't require too much explanation, but if you read these files, you will find very useful information when you have an error. Because this is another thing that you can find. People think that OpenUpgrade is difficult because they find errors, crashes when running migration scripts. But this crashes is because there is a data condition that led to these crashes. It's not something that OpenUpgrade is not correct. Sometimes there is bugs, you know, it's a software, and all software has bugs. But the most of the problems running migration is because you have a database with incorrect data or inconsistencies. Maybe they haven't been provoked by yourself, because Odoo sometimes has put any database scheme, and then they don't provide constraints, and you have a constraint condition that is met on the next version. So this can make a database migration process to crash. So you have to remove that constraint condition and continue doing the migration. So it's a process that also serves for cleaning your database and have a good data condition scheme. So I love OpenUpgrade, and I prefer it far away from enterprise migration, because what they do also when they have that crisis is to go for the easy one, that is to remove things. So we have an experience with the OpenUpgrade 12 version, where we develop some tools to convert from Bootstrap 3, I think, to Bootstrap 4 classes declaration. You know, on website, you have some classes that are tied to Bootstrap, and they change that classes. Well, at the beginning, they don't have on their enterprise migration tools for doing that conversion, and they deliver you a database. It's working, but your website were totally scrambled. So we have refined more the migration that they did on that part. They have learned also, and now they have that conversion. But we try, and one of the things that Enric has said is important. There is a lot of experienced people working here and dumping their experience on the migration script. So there is a lot of love put on these migration scripts.
Hello. I don't know if this is working. Anyway, on YouTube. Okay. Yes. Thank you very much for the talk, and thank you very much also for the clarification. First question. I thank you very much for also sharing this to us. I just wanted you to try and explain, probably just go back to that, what exactly we are seeing in regards just, what any of those few lines mean. Then the second question, I do quite a lot of upgrades as well, although not using OpenUpgrade, using the black box. And I just wanted to ask if the concept again is pretty much the same. I noticed, I don't know again what the black box does, but I noticed that especially for custom code, because that is, you find that you have databases that have a lot of custom code, either from the OCA or from the App Store. What basically happens is you send it to the black box either through a script or send it to Odoo or whichever way, and the next thing that you need to do is, once that is returned and restored in the database, is just provide the latest version of the custom code. So my thinking is that it looks as though the database itself is one that actually goes through some sort of transformation. How it's done, I'm not so sure. And then, the easy part is just pretty much put the latest version of the custom build. Is that the same flow of OpenUpgrade? And yeah. I hope that makes
No,
sense.
no, they will explain it, but no, it's not the same. In OpenUpgrade, you do the migration just once with all your customization code and all your OCA code directly. So the idea is you're not doing just a partial migration of the Odoo code and then you upgrade all the other code. You just migrate your code. Okay? So we will just close it here because otherwise Mikel will have no time. He's not worried about that, but we prefer to have time for him too. Okay?